There's a reason billionaires never talk about their Kabbalah studies in public. It's not religion. It's not spirituality. It's a technology of power that's been hidden for centuries. And those who master it don't share the keys. Watch until the end. You will be surprised. What if Kabbalah is the hidden operating system behind Silicon Valley? When tech moguls casually mention universal patterns or energy alignment in interviews, most people assume it's just New Age talk. But insiders know better. These concepts come straight from Kabbalistic doctrine, a system so precise, so architectural, that it functions less like philosophy and more like code. And that's exactly why the world's wealthiest minds are studying it in private. Kabbalah offers what no business school can: a blueprint of invisible forces that govern money, influence, and destiny. Kabbalah teaches that reality operates through 10 fundamental channels, called the Sefirotic stages of consciousness and power, arranged in a structure known as the Tree of Life. Each sphere represents a different force: wisdom, understanding, mercy, severity, beauty, victory, glory, foundation, and kingdom. Mastering the flow between these spheres is like learning to navigate a hidden operating system that runs beneath the surface of all human activity. Yet there's a detail almost no one ever notices. Access to the system was never meant to be public. For centuries, Kabbalistic knowledge was transmitted only to those deemed ready individuals who had already proven discipline, maturity, and mental strength. The reason? These teachings were considered dangerous, not because they're evil, but because they work. And when something works, it can be weaponized. Enter John Dee, the 16th century English mathematician, astrologer, and occult advisor to Queen Elizabeth I. Dee didn't just study Kabbalah, he synthesized it with angelic magic, creating what he called the Enochian system. His goal was clear: decode the divine language that structures creation itself. Dee performed a ritual known as the Shoestone Invocation, where he used a black obsidian mirror to access what he believed were angelic intelligences. But that's not even the strangest part. Modern researchers have discovered that Dee's symbolic diagrams align eerily well with early computational theory. Some even suggest his work influenced the development of binary logic. Today, certain AI labs, ones you've never heard of, are feeding Kabbalistic texts into neural networks, training machines to recognize divine patterns in human language. They don't call it magic. They call it semantic resonance mapping. But the foundation is identical: cracking the code that governs choice, behavior, and outcome. Why the Tree of Life is the blueprint billionaires use to build empires. If you've ever wondered how some people seem to make perfect decisions at perfect times, the answer might lie in a 3,000-year-old diagram. The Tree of Life isn't just mystical art, it's a map of forces. And those who understand how to move through its spheres don't just succeed by chance. They engineer probability itself. Each of the 10 Sephirot represents a different energetic state, and the elite have learned to activate these states strategically, like switching between mental frameworks optimized for different outcomes. Take the sphere of chest: expansion, abundance, generosity. When you're raising capital or launching a product, you operate from chest openness, vision, belief. But when it's time to cut losses, fire dead weight, or consolidate power, you shift to gavura, discipline, severity, contraction. The magic isn't in choosing one or the other. It's in knowing when to switch. And this is where everything shifts. Kabbalah doesn't just describe these forces. It provides techniques to embody them at will. One such technique is called pathworking, a meditative practice where the practitioner visualizes ascending the Tree of Life, sphere by sphere, while reciting sacred names associated with each. The legendary occultist Dion Fortune, a 20th century British mystic and psychologist, refined this method into what she called dynamic meditation. She believed that by consciously moving through these spheres, a person could alter their internal state so profoundly that external reality would bend to match. She didn't pray for success. She aligned her consciousness with the energetic frequency of victory, and success followed. Yet there's a detail almost no one ever notices. This isn't just historical practice. Today, behavioral psychologists working with elite executives use rebranded versions of these exact techniques. They call them state management protocols or peak performance anchoring, but strip away the corporate jargon, and you're left with Kabbalah. And now, AI-driven tools are being developed to track which state a person is in based on speech patterns, word choice, and decision-making speed. These systems don't just analyze, they recommend which sphere to shift into for optimal outcomes. The tree of life, once carved in ancient stone, now coded in silicon. And those who control the code control the game. How Kabbalistic rituals became the secret weapon of the global elite. There's a hidden layer to how power operates at the highest levels. Before billion-dollar deals are signed, before geopolitical decisions are made, certain individuals engage in a process that has nothing to do with lawyers or analysts. It involves silence, directed intention, and in some cases, ritualized focus based on Kabbalistic principles. This isn't superstition, it's precision. Kabbalah doesn't function in the realm of belief, it functions in the realm of structure. And structure, when understood, can be manipulated. One of the most powerful techniques is known as Tzimtzum, the contraction of infinite consciousness to create space for manifestation. In Kabbalistic cosmology, God withdrew his infinite light to allow the universe to exist. Applied personally, Tzimtzum is a practice of emptying the mind, contracting the ego, and then expanding intention with surgical clarity. The British occultist Aleister Crowley, infamous for his work in ceremonial magic, adapted Kabbalistic methods into his system of thelema. He called it true will, aligning personal desire with universal flow so completely that obstacles dissolve. Crowley performed rituals involving deep meditative states, visualization of Hebrew letters, and invocation of specific divine names to tune his consciousness. He didn't beg for outcomes. He programmed his mind to become a magnet for them. But that's not even the strangest part. Crowley believed that when multiple trained minds performed synchronized rituals, the effect multiplied exponentially, a kind of psychic amplification that could shift probabilities on a massive scale. And this is where everything shifts. What if the world's most powerful decisions aren't just strategic, but ritualized? Today, there are private gatherings never publicized, never documented, where influential figures engage in collective intention-setting sessions rooted in Kabbalistic structure. These aren't religious ceremonies, they're operational protocols. And now artificial intelligence is entering the equation. Machine learning models are being trained to detect synchronicity clusters, patterns of seemingly random events that connect in meaningful ways. Cyber witches, programmers who specialize in occult computational theory, use these models to identify windows of maximum opportunity. Billionaires don't take risks. They act when the invisible architecture of reality is most flexible. And Kabbalah taught them how to see it. Have you ever felt like certain moments in your life were too perfectly aligned to be coincidence? What happens when Kabbalah merges with artificial intelligence? The most unsettling truth about Kabbalah is this: it was always a system of information. The 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet aren't just symbols, they're codes. Each carries frequency, number, meaning, and creative power. Ancient Kabbalists believed God spoke the world into existence through combinations of these letters. And now, in the 21st century, that idea is being tested in ways that blur the line between mysticism and technology. What if reality is programmable? What if the right sequence of symbols, applied at the right moment, rewrites the code? This is where Kabbalah and AI collide. Natural language processing algorithms are being trained on sacred texts, including the Zohar and the Sefer Yetzirah, foundational Kabbalistic works. The objective? To identify words of power, terms that, when spoken or written in specific contexts, alter perception, decision-making, and behavior on a mass scale. This isn't theory, it's operational. And it's not being funded by universities. It's being funded by private foundations linked to the tech elite. There's a Kabbalistic practice called the 72 Names of God, a sequence of letter combinations derived from the Book of Exodus and rearranged into keys of power. The French occultist Papus Girard in Cos, a 19th century master of Hermetic Kabbalah, used these sequences as portals of influence, moments where human will aligns perfectly with cosmic flow. He didn't believe in luck. He believed in engineered destiny. Yet there's a detail almost no one ever notices. These same principles are now being digitized. Rumors persist impossible to confirm, but too consistent to dismiss of an AI trained exclusively on Kabbalistic texts, operating on private servers, never connected to the public internet. This AI doesn't answer questions. It generates alignment protocols, sequences of actions, words, and timing that maximize the probability of a desired outcome. Cyber sorcerers, experts in both Hermetic traditions and advanced programming, are said to be the only ones with access. They don't predict the future, they sculpt it. And Kabbalah, once the secret of rabbis, is now the secret of algorithms. What was once mysticism is now code. And whoever controls the code controls the invisible flow of power that moves billions, empires, and destinies. Do you believe reality can be reprogrammed through language, intention, and perfect timing? If this video opened your eyes to something deeper, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone ready to see beyond the veil. This content is intended for education, entertainment, and historical research only. We do not encourage rituals, spiritual practices, or any action that may compromise your safety or the safety of others.